The Philippine Army, as part of the AFP modernization program, is already receiving new assets like the Sabra light tanks and the M113 Armored Personnel Carriers. The ongoing modernization program also enables the Philippine Army to receive additional pre-loved land systems from allies, one of which is the M113 Armored Personnel Carriers. In late 2015, the Philippine government received more than 100 units of M113 APCs, transferred from the United States government. These are among various M113s the Philippine government has received from our allies. Several of these M113s were converted to different configurations. Armored personnel carriers equipped with gunner's shields for 50 caliber machine guns. Armored personnel carriers equipped with remote control weapon stations for 50 caliber and 25 mm machine guns. Fire support vehicle armed with 76 mm L23A1 gun from decommissioned Scorpion light tanks. Armored ambulance. Armored mortar carriers with 81 mm and 120 mm mortar system. Most of the M113 conversions were accomplished with the assistance of Israel Elbit Systems, which was awarded with various M113 conversion projects, and with Turkish FNSS that provided 6 units of one-man turret systems for the M113 firepower upgrade project. Those M113 with its various conversions have proven to be reliable assets for the Philippine Army. Some of those converted M113s were also battle-tested, particularly in the 2017 Marawi siege. Those APCs proved they were not only suitable for mountainous and jungle terrain but for urban settings as well. And despite the Philippine Army having their brand new M113 APC, there's already information that the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Department of National Defense are already contemplating having the additional acquisition of M113 from another source. According to Bons Cue PH source, the additional acquisition of M113s might be put on hold as the AFP is considering more of the M113s instead of acquiring new assets like the M113 or the Pander. Bons Cue PH can surmise on following reasons why the AFP is opting for more M113s than newly built APCs. First is the quick delivery of the assets. This is the priority for the AFP as it is already observed that the delivery for the new assets takes too much time. Since the wheeled APC project was awarded in the last quarter of 2020, it has been 4 years already, and only initial batches of the M113s have been delivered. This is due to the needed approval from concerned governments that have the rights for the vehicles the AFP is acquiring, the thing that the Philippine government doesn't have any control. Acquiring surplus M113s from our allies means the units are ready to be transported to the Philippines, will require minimal refurbishment works, and the government will spend ample amount for its upgrades. The Philippine government acquired a small number of M113 APCs, only 28 units. 2 years since the ease of restrictions from the pandemic in 2022, which the DND has also considered for the winning proponent, 2 years have passed and only 5 units have been delivered to the AFP. We can compare this timeline to the construction of the Rizal-class frigate, which takes up 2 years and is more complicated to be built than a wheeled armored personnel carrier. Another thing is the easy conversion of the M113s. Since the AFP already has concluded different project conversions of their M113s with the Israeli and Turkish defense companies, it makes sense to have another batch of M113 conversion from these countries, which will timely efficient than converting new type of platforms that will have another set of standards of fittings and attachments. The Guaranis will serve as quick response assets. This is due to their amphibious capabilities and will be divided into different army units. Even the Presidential Security Group will also have their share of Guarani APCs, while the M113s will be the workhorse of the Philippine Army. Though the Guaranis have amphibious capabilities, a fully combat-loaded M113 which is only 12 tons is still lighter than an empty-weight Guarani of 14 tons. And in the current Philippine infrastructure settings, anything lighter is an advantage. Being lighter also means can be easily transported, and can be accommodated on the infrastructure load limitations the country has, particularly with the bridges that have a common weight tonnage limitation of 20 tons. With the M113 having a common load tonnage between 10 to 12 tons, they don't need tank transporters and can cross our common bridges even in rural areas. Some may ask why the AFP and DND are considering acquiring surplus M113s rather than having new assets. Aside from the factors we mentioned earlier, it's about the more bang for a buck factor. The amount the Philippine government can have for a few brand new units can acquire more pre-loved type assets. The Philippine Army proved as well that acquiring used but upgraded assets like M113 with modern technologies is a good addition to their inventory. Having more of this machine the Philippine Army is already familiar with, posed no necessary adjustments to them. They just need to provide more manpower and facilities to accommodate additional M113s. The additional units of M113s that will be acquired will enable the Philippine Army to convert some of those APCs to another type of specialized vehicle, which we will discuss in another post. And on the additional information that was provided to Bons Cue PH, the additional M113 is only part of a package that is mostly composed of other land assets like artillery systems.